Hi everyone, and thank you for joining. I'm hoping you can hear me okay. Just give me a moment. I already checked my audio and video, and I think it's fine. So really, I didn't really want to get back into the Christian Brueckner situation and all of the news, but it seemed that over the last 2 weeks or so, he's been back in the news again. And it's very strange. And even more so, it's stranger because he's all over TikTok lately. I mean, I go on TikTok every single day, right? And each time when I open my TikTok, it's always Brueckner or something to do with Madeleine Mccann and Brueckner. And it seemed very strange to me. And also, you guys, I've seen quite a few of your comments about Brueckner and about these new things being said about him in the media, and what I believe about it, and so on and so forth. So basically, this is what we are going to talk about today. I mean, it's quite obvious, I think, from the thumbnail of this live. I'm going to address the Sun article, which is in the thumbnail, and also two of the comments that I've added on the thumbnail. I'm going to read them as well. Just give me a second. It's from two of you guys who are following me and watching me on this channel. And apart from those highlighted comments, those two highlighted comments in the thumbnail, there were other comments as well. So this is basically the reason why I've decided to go live tonight, so we can talk about the latest, not so latest, in terms of Christian Brueckner and the Madeleine Mccann connection, should I say. And I think that we are going to talk about why do we think he's back in the news again. I have, an idea, and I'll tell you a bit later on as we move forward with the articles, because as soon as we are going to be reading these news articles, the latest ones, it will make much more sense. So anyway, before I get started, let me just say hello to David, who left a comment a bit earlier saying, I don't believe it. All evidence points in another direction. And hello to Jackie as well. Jackie says hello from Ireland. So Jackie, hello from England. And hello to everybody else who is watching right now. And thank you so much for joining. So just to have a bit of content around this live, I've went through a few of the latest news articles in terms of Christian Brueckner, Madeleine Mccann, and Brueckner's trial. Okay, so I've set aside 1, 2, 3, 4 news articles, which we will be going through. I mean, if you usually read news articles, a lot of things, they're kind of repeating themselves. So it will be a bit of repetition from one article to another because they are from different outlets. But basically, there is some kind of information in one article which you won't find in the other, and so on. So that's why I'm going to be reading all of these articles, the 4 that I've chosen. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of, apologize in advance if there will be some stuff repeating in between the articles. And the first one that I want to start with is the one which is in the thumbnail of this video, the article from the Sun. And this article from the Sun was updated on 25th of September. Okay. Apart from this article from 25th of September, I also have later articles on the 4th of October, I think. Let me just double check before I say anything. Sorry, it's the 2nd of October. So I have another article from the 2nd of October and another one from the 2nd of October. Oh, and also there was something which I found quite interesting. It's not very recent. Well, actually, it's from 27th of September, but I found an article from the Olive Press. I'm sure you heard of that, of the Olive Press, where there is a psychiatrist who's been in court as part of Christian Brueckner's trial. And I really wanted to go through this article as well because there were some interesting things that this psychiatrist said about Christian Brueckner. And not only that, but we actually in this article find out a bit more about Christian Brueckner's childhood and kind of like history. But again, is it believable? Is it not believable? I'm not quite sure. So I guess, it's just a matter of going through the articles and seeing what's what. And yeah, I'm going to tell you what I really believe, why I really believe that he's back in the news. Because, just a spoiler, the new information about Bruckner, they are not exactly new, okay? It's just I think it's just a bit of a spin from older information, and they are kind of trying to bring them back as being new because of the trial and the latest news around the trial. I'm not sure if you've heard the news, but like I said, we will be going through articles and we will find out. And hi to Michelle as well. Let me put your comment on the screen. Michelle is saying, hi, lovely. I can't believe Gonzalo book was spot on all them years ago. Yeah, it seems that everything that he's been saying, it's kind of, revealing itself now, so many years later. He was on the right track. That's precisely why I think, and a lot of us think, that they stopped him. He had to be stopped because he kind of got the hang of what was happening, right? Right. Okay. So, without further comments from me, let's start with the first article, which is from The Sun. And let me get that on your screen. Right. Okay. So, this article is entitled Maddie Confession. Madeleine Mccann suspect Christian Brueckner confessed to taking a child in Portugal as cellmate drops court bombshell. And this one was published and updated on the 25th of September 2024. So it kind of already from the title of this article, it's kind of clear that there is absolutely no confession from Brueckner about Madeleine Mccann. Okay. Now, everything that I've seen on social media, especially on TikTok, because I haven't really checked other platforms, but especially on TikTok, leads me to understand, and I think that you guys as well, that the implication is it is about Madeleine Mccann. So let's have a look at what the article says, first of all. This article was published and probably written by Rob Pattinson. So, PDF Brueckner, 47 years old, is said to have confided about his past after asking cellmate Laurențiu C. So, I'm pronouncing his name as Laurențiu C because he's actually Romanian, judging by the name. If he too was behind bars for child offenses. Moving down. The drifter. Okay, the drifter. So this guy is apparently another drifter. Okay, the drifter then confided. Oh, sorry, scrap that because I made a mistake here. So the drifter refers to Christian Brueckner. Okay, the drifter then confided in Laurențiu he had taken a child during a break-in in Portugal and begged the fellow con to burn down his lair when he got out of prison. Chillingly, Laurențiu raised the prospect of Maddie being buried, saying that the RAPIST had asked him if the DNA from a child can be taken from bones under the ground. The witness told Braunschweig Regional Court he said he stole in Portugal. he told me that in Portugal he had stolen there. He was in an area of hotels where rich people live. And when he went to the hotel area, there was an open window somewhere, he told me. And he would have entered this window for money and gold. However, he not find any money, but came across a child and took it with him. About 2 hours later, the area was full of police and dogs, and he had left from there. He left the area. He then said that there was another person with him who he had argued with and that they had split up. And he said he took the child with him in Portugal and drove away while the place was full of police and dogs. He drove off in the car and he was gone. He asked me whether DNA can be taken from a child. Laurentio added, he asked me if the DNA from a child can be taken from bones under the ground. It comes, so okay, let's pause a bit here. So this is what effectively Laurentio, a fellow convicted man, told the court about Christian Brueckner and about what Brueckner allegedly told him. Okay, so this is not coming from Brueckner himself, like a lot of people are claiming on social media. This is actually coming from another cellmate of Brueckner's. Okay, and now we know how the story goes with cellmates and with the deals that they are making with authorities in order for them to confess to something or become a witness in somebody's trial. You know how it goes. So it's basically they get some kind of benefit by becoming a witness, right? We don't know if this is the case with Laurentiu, but again, I'm gonna say that generally and realistically, you can't really trust what another prisoner says, especially when you are offering a benefit to them, whatever the benefit may be, either years taken off their sentence or, some kind of extras whilst they are in prison or anything else for that matter, really. And yeah, that's why I'm saying you can't really trust them because they might be saying stuff just so that they can get benefits. So yeah, this is a very, very similar story to the other cellmate or rather prisoner. Remember, just a couple of months back, there was that guy was again in the media around Christian Brueckner and around what allegedly Brueckner told him. Now, this guy, it's very convenient that right now during Brueckner's trial, he comes forward and he says that Brueckner confessed to him that he kidnapped a child. Now, he's not saying that, he's not pointing the finger that it was Madeleine Mccann that Brueckner kidnapped. However, judging by what he said in court, it kind of leads everybody to believe that it is, about Madeleine Mccann because of the way that he's describing things. Like he said he took the child from Portugal, from a hotel, through the window and stuff like that. And then 2 hours later, the police was all over the place. So he just drove away. So it kind of makes you believe, like the general reader, that, yeah, he can only be talking about Madeleine Mccann. Jackie, thank you so much. So Jackie is saying, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, my lovelies, and comment after the live. Yes, thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you to everybody. I really appreciate all of your engagement on my videos. So again, I'm saying it's a very, very strikingly similar story to the one we've read just a couple of months ago from another prisoner. Hi, Bernadette. Thank you for joining. Okay, so now let's move on with the article. It comes after Maddie's investigators have previously told of their firm belief that the toddler is dead, although they didn't say why they believe this. So when they refer to Medis investigators, obviously they are referring to Medis investigators as in German investigators, which again, I'm going to repeat myself. I have no idea why they call themselves Medis disappearance investigators, because it really had nothing to do with them, as Madeleine, as we all know, disappeared in Portugal. Hi, Avian. Thank you so much for joining me. And now, Laurentiu, this prisoner, he also claimed that Brueckner seemed panicked about potential evidence he might have left at the crime scene, asking if a person could be traced by their hair or if they might leave a trace climbing over a balcony. Again, we are seeing here a lot of hints suggesting that this Laurentiu is referring to the Madeleine McCann abduction, right? So Laurentiu alleged in court that Brueckner asked him to burn down his box factory lair when he was released from prison, believing he would never get free. German FBI agents later searched the property and found a string of data storage and hard drives, although the exact relevance to the case has not been released. So, if you guys remember a couple of years ago that the layer, which was allegedly Bruckner's, was discovered, and there were a lot of things taken from there and a lot of evidence. So, this is what this article mentions. Laurenti also claimed that Bruckner boasted about covering his tracks by burning a car, although he didn't specify in court which crime it related to. He said, "He told me that he was there in Portugal with another person and that he set fire to a car or hired someone else to set fire to a car in Portugal." Now here we have the Madeleine McCann's disappearance timeline, and I don't think we need to go through this because all of us already know the timeline. But maybe there are some interesting things here after. So I think I'm going to... So I think I'm going to be reading the... from October 2007 onwards, okay? Because I think it's helpful to kind of see the progress of all the things happening while after Madeleine went missing. So we are going to be starting from October the 2nd, 2007, when the lead detective Gonzalo Amaral is taken off the case after he criticized British police in a newspaper interview. Again, this is like, you can clearly tell that he criticized the British police and then he lost his job, right? Okay, so 21st of July 2009, Portuguese police lift the Arguido status of both Robert Murat and the McCanns. May 12, 2011, on Madeleine's 8th birthday, Scotland Yard launches a review into the case. April 25th, 2012, Scotland Yard officers say they believe Madeleine McCann is still alive. July 4th, 2013, 2 years into a review of the case, Scotland Yard launches its own investigation into Madeleine's disappearance. October 24th, 2013, Portuguese police reopen their case after new lines of inquiry are found. So, judging by all of this that I've just read now, it kind of seems like a regular update into the Madeleine McCann case over the years. And I'm guessing it's usually around the time that the McCanns need to get new funding, or that new funding is due to be, accepted or denied for the investigation into the Madeleine McCann disappearance. Moving on to November 27, 2013, Met Police Commissioner Sir Bernard Hogan Howe called for British and Portuguese police to work together. October 28, 2015, Scotland Yard reduces the number of officers working on Madeleine's disappearance. March 11, 2017, the Home Office grants Operation Grange an extra £85,000 to continue from April until September. So, yeah, there you go. March 2017, they are giving them £85,000 to continue investigating from April till September. Then we have the same year, come September 28, British police are granted more £154,000 to keep the probe going until March 2018. Then, November 2017, cops moved the search to Bulgaria. So again, this is kind of like, in my opinion, to justify the funds being given, that they found something new and they are investigating. Then, come May 2018, remember that the funding was until March 2018. Now we move on to May 2018. Another round of funding thought to be in the region of £150,000 is granted. You see the pattern here? September 2018. Okay. An extra 6 months of funding is requested from the Home Office. Okay. November 2018, more funding, believed to be in the region of £150,000, is granted. Then, as soon as the new funding is granted, as a justification for the new funding, in my opinion, UK police re-examine a theory that Madeleine left the apartment to look for her parents. Then we are moving on to June 2019. Another round of funding, believed to be £300,000 of government cash, is granted. You see the pattern here yet already? Do you? It's so clear, isn't it? In my opinion. Then, of course, in June 2019, Portuguese police are probing a new clue and suspect after talks with British officers. So again, we have more funding being given, and then we have more potential new clues in Madeleine's disappearance. In my opinion, again, as a justification for the funding that they are receiving. Okay, so then in June 2020, new prime suspect revealed as a German PDF, Christian Brueckner. This is like to bring to fruition the extra funding given for the investigation, right? To prove that something happened after they received the extra funds. April 2022, Brueckner formally made an Argido. May 23, police search remote Algarve reservoir Brueckner called his little paradise. And that's why I wanted to go through the timeline with you, so you can see that there is a pattern here, that right before the new funding is needed or a new request is made, we have more clues, or after the funding is accepted or given, then we kind of have new evidence found. And like I said, because all of this evidence is leading nowhere, so that's why I'm saying I think it's just a justification, really, just for them to show to everybody, to the general public, that they are doing something. So before I move on to reading the following bit here, I'm going to catch up on the comments. Evian is saying, bless you. Have you seen the Crime Night investigations into Madeleine? It's wow. I haven't, no. I don't usually follow others or watch others in terms of what they are saying around the Madeleine Mccann investigation, because I don't really want to, how can I say, I don't really want to not change my views, but rather change opinions or allow something to affect my own judgment by watching somebody else saying something or, showing something. I would rather reach conclusions on my own without being... Oh, I can't find the word now. But you get what I mean, I think. Jackie is saying, are people still sending money to those criminals? Believe it or not, yes. And I suspect that there will be another funding request soon. I haven't really kept I haven't really kept notes of the months or dates when new funding is requested to see if there is a pattern now in the last 2 or 3 years or so. But my guess is that soon there will be something. Michelle is saying, think the bagging pots are empty, in my opinion. They could be, but I also think that they will find more stuff to be able to fill up those pots. Dorothy is asking, Michelle Connolly, how can I buy the book? Thank you. Which book are you referring to? Amaral's book? Right, I'll move on to reading the next bit from this article. The witness also alleged that Brueckner told him of abusing tiny young girls on a bus he owned after snatching them. He told the court there was talk of a girl. I don't know if what he said was true or not. He said that he had a bus and that he had taken her with it. He said he kept some of them, but not others, but he never said that he had killed them. We are talking about girls, not boys. Not all at once, always one at a time. He told me about two. He said that he had taken someone, had sex with her, but he didn't kill her. Asked by the judge how old his victim was, Laurentius said, I don't want to get it wrong, but he was very young, tiny, I mean young. Each time when we were together, he spoke about it because he was convinced that I was a PDF. He added, he asked me every time if I was a PDF. Every time we spoke, he came back to that. Brueckner said at the time, tell me, you don't have to watch out for me. He told me all these things in the hope that I was a PDF too. This just doesn't make sense to me, you know? It doesn't make sense to me what he's saying here. The witness claimed in court that the German confided in him while they were both on remand in the same prison. At the time, the criminals were in prison together in 2020, after Brueckner was publicly named prime suspect over the disappearance of Madeleine in 2007. The testimony amounts to a massive boost to the Medi case, showing prosecutors in Germany now have a second person who witnessed Brueckner's confessions. So these are, from my perspective, these are clear clues of what is to come next. Massive boost to the Medi case. Okay, so we've got here a massive boost to the Medi case, and my guess is that this massive boost will give a boost to further either funding request for the Madeleine McCann Fund or approval of the request. Now, like I said, I didn't really get into checking lately around the funds if there is a request being made already or they are in process of doing that in the following few weeks or few months. I'm not sure, but it kind of leads to that because it's always the same thing. Something new pops up in the news, the funding is requested, the funding is given, and then we are following, clues, but then nothing happens, and then it goes quiet for a while, and then here it comes back up again. It's always the same. So I don't know, you guys, if you looked into the funding request lately, let me know if you found something new about it. Hey, Gemma, thank you so much for joining. Nice to see you as well. Hey, William. William is saying if this LGB, it's fake. He wants out of jail and Germany is trying to save face. You see, you mentioned LGB. Okay, LGB. Now, this guy, he was the previous witness from a couple of months ago, if I'm not mistaken, who also said that Brueckner confessed to him about stuff and stuff like that, something like that. And yeah, like you say, he wants out of jail and Germany is trying to save face. LGB, he was given some kind of deal, wasn't he? At one point, I remember reading about it, but I can't remember what I was reading in the news article. But this guy, the new witness, apparently, Laurențiu, who is Romanian this time, is another one, okay? Another one who is saying that Bruckner confessed to him in prison whilst they were in prison together. Now, the funny thing is that all over social media, if you look, especially on TikTok, like I've been seeing on TikTok lately, everybody on TikTok is saying that Christian Bruner confessed, okay? But this is not correct because this man, Laurențiu, the prisoner, is saying that he confessed to him, not that Bruckner confessed, as in that he confessed in court. So it's kind of like getting the, I don't know, getting or creating perhaps confusion out there. That's what I think. Yeah, Dorothy Michelle is right here. I got my book as well from eBay a few years ago, and also I'm not sure if it's available anymore, but you might want to have a look at it again because it could very well be that by this point the book is available, it's readily available in the UK because Amaral won in court. So I don't think that they are able to, as in the McCanns, I don't think that they are able to stop the selling of the book anymore here. But I'm not quite sure. So you might need to go and have a look on Google. Or you might find also websites or blogs or Facebook groups, for example, where somebody took the time to translate the book into English and as a PDF or something like that. Nowadays, you also have AI, so AI can also be used for translating the book. And even if you would find a version online of the book in Portuguese, you might be able to use AI to translate the book for you. I'm not quite sure, but I think that a safe bet for you would be to check on Google. Maybe because of all these updates regarding the court case between the McCanns and Amaral, maybe now it's a bit different than it was before. Okay, I'm going to move on with this article. Oh, before I move on, yes, William has a comment here. It's convenient hearsay. Why would Bruckner brag to criminals who could use it to bargain? Exactly. And he's not the first, is he? I mean, as in the other criminals, if you will. He is not the first to say something that Bruckner said because he stood something to gain from it. And that's why I even said at the beginning of this live that considering he's a prisoner and even the other one, Hulgi, was a prisoner, they are not exactly trustworthy because as soon as you offer them a deal or some kind of benefit, even if it's some kind of benefit in prison, for example, it's not like that is guaranteed they will be telling the truth. They might just be saying something so that they can get that benefit or some kind of deal that they are being offered. So I don't really think that either of them are trustworthy. Hi, Wild Woody. Thank you for joining. Okay, let me move on now to the rest of this article because we still have around 3 more articles to go. But the reason why I'm reading all of these articles is that there are a bit of different information into each article, and it might just paint, kind of like a bigger overall picture. So, so previously, the prosecutors, it seems, appeared to rely on the sole account of ex-drifter Helgi Bushwing, the one we just mentioned now, and William said as well, whose credibility has been harmed during Brueckner's current RAPE and sex offenses trial. So there you have it. This is why, in my opinion, I believe that now Laurențiu comes forward with his testimony in court because Helgi's credibility was destroyed in court by Bruckner's legal team. Okay, so obviously that the prosecution, they kind of needed somebody else to say something against Bruckner. So there you have the other guy, Laurențiu, all of a sudden, because Helgi's credibility was harmed during the trial. Now they had to bring somebody else in, right? Earlier, Bruckner was confronted with images of Maddie in court for the first time as they were shown on big screens as part of exhibits. Convicted PDF and RAE, Christian Bruckner was named as the prime suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine in 2020, although he has never been formally charged. He's on trial for a string of RAPs and sex offenses unconnected to the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, which he denies. And the trial continues. But I have some news about the trial, about his trial, in the following articles. So we finished with The Sun. And let's just take a couple of minutes before we move on to the next article. Let me just give me just a second. I'm going to try and make the other article easily shareable here. Right. Yeah, there it is. I found the other article that I wanted to go through with you in a couple of minutes. So yeah, as you can see, it's yet another attempt, which I think he will be unsuccessful. However, I have a feeling that somehow they will be able to make him into the scapegoat, to make Christian Bruckner into the scapegoat. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, because don't get me wrong, he's a criminal, and he's done some, criminal activities and so on and so forth. But I still don't believe that he had anything to do with Madeleine's disappearance, and I still believe that that they are trying to turn him into a patsy or a scapegoat, however you want to refer to him as. And yeah, it's not like I'm defending him or anything. It's not like I'm on his side. But the thing is that if you didn't do something, then you didn't do something. And it just goes to show that they are trying every single thing that they can think of to try and make him look like he did something to Madeleine McCann. Now, as far as I understand, in Germany, the trial doesn't have a jury. One of you guys actually told me previously that in Germany there is no jury, so there is just a panel of judges, 3 judges, I think you said. Can't remember exactly. So you know how I like to say, as in, it's sometimes, but I don't know if this is the case here, but sometimes it's kind of better when you have a trial with a jury, because you have a potential like 11 or 12 jurors, and you can change their mind, or you can convince them of something much easier than if it's only one judge or 3 judges, because let's face it, it's one person or 3 people against 12 others, right? And opinions are, how can I say, some people are more gullible than others, and some people are easier to manipulate than others. And even though you are a judge or you are in law enforcement or whatever, is still law is still not an exact thing. Can I even call it a science? It's not like science, but it's not something which is 100% reliable in the sense that you have results based on a certain thing, but rather, even as law enforcement, as a solicitor, as a judge, you still need to create your own opinions based on what you read or what you learn or what you hear, and so on and so forth. So you can't really say 100% that these officials are unbiased, because anyone can change their mind in a certain way if they are shown something or if they learn something else, right? Whereas when you have a jury of 12, yeah, you could say that it's more or less the same thing as with law enforcement and judges and all sorts of things like that. But still, you have 12 people, and with 12 people, it's a bit difficult to convince them in a way that you want that to work for you. You know what I mean? Dorothy is saying, Catalina, thank you for investigating this. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining the live and following me and watching my videos. William is also saying, Christian B has no history with toddlers, 3-year-olds, just panel of judges. Yes. So, yeah, he has no history with toddlers, and especially 3-year-olds, right? And we know, I mean, generally, it's like a general idea. It's not 100%, fact, but it's a general idea that when you are a PDF, you kind of have your type, okay? A type of victim that you choose over and over again, because that's the type of victim that attracts you, right? So it's kind of unbelievable to think that you go from elderly people to children when it comes to sex offenses. So yeah, as you say, if indeed he would have been somebody, PDF with preferences for 3-year-olds, you would think that there would have been previous victims around the same age. Michelle is saying scapegoat. This was mentioned many years ago. Yes, he has been mentioned over time. Yes. Yeah. And I don't think it's the last time that they will be trying to find a scapegoat if it doesn't work with Brueckner. But I do think that they will do everything in their power to try and make him the scapegoat. Now, I'm not sure will they be successful or not. I'm hoping they won't be, because there's no justice at all, is it? But I'm wondering, if they're not successful, who else could they try and turn into a scapegoat? Jane is saying having a jury is much fairer and less likely to be corrupted. Yes, I have to agree with you, because 12 people are much harder to manipulate than one person or three. William is also saying judge panel will require proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Word of criminals in prison is questionable. Yes, hopefully that's the case here, because I don't think that they have proof beyond reasonable doubt from everything we know publicly anyway. Hey, Julie, thank you for joining. Julie is saying, has anyone been watching Sean Atwood and listening to what Julia Wandel has found out about her DNA and Operation Grange? Me personally, I haven't watched Sean Atwood. And who is Julia Wandel? Is that the girl who said that she thinks it's Madeleine Mccann before they did her DNA testing? And what did she say about Operation Grange? Jill is also saying, I think Brueckner is a red herring. Yes, a scapegoat. Yeah. Okay, I need a bit of water. Just give me a second, guys. Oh, and I need to take this off. You wouldn't believe it, but I actually had to turn my heating on. It's so cold. Right, okay. Are we ready to move on to the next article? Oh, Julie is saying yes, she is, but they never did her DNA testing. From what I've heard, they did test her DNA, from what I was reading online, didn't they? And the result was that she's not Madeleine McCann. Okay, I'm ready for the next article now. Let me get it on your screen. So this one is, as you can see, from the Daily Mirror. And this one is titled, oh gosh, this photo of him is scary. This article is titled Madeleine McCann suspect Christian Brueckner, a dangerous PDF and serial sex attacker, court hears. This article was written by Martin Fricker and Bradley Jolly on 2nd of October 2024. Madeleine McCann suspect Christian Brueckner is a dangerous PDF and serial R, a prosecutor told the court today. Brueckner is suspected of abducting and killing 3-year-old Madeleine in Praia da Luz in May 2007. He's currently serving a 7-year prison term for attacking an American pensioner in the Portuguese resort. He's on trial in Germany on unconnected sex crimes allegedly carried out in the Algarve. In her closing speech to the trial, which could end next week, prosecutor Ut Lindman urged the judge to convict the PDF and jail him for 15 years. If Brueckner is cleared, he will be freed next year, which is a nightmare scenario for Madeleine investigators. Judge Ut Engelmann revealed today that she could announce her verdict in the long-running case next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, this would mean on the 8th of October. Oh, this will be curious. I'm curious to see if she will announce her verdict. So there you go. That's why we are now talking about the other witness in court. They are desperately trying some more because there is a risk that Brueckner is cleared. Okay. And it will probably come as soon as next Tuesday. So, for moving on, detectives appear no closer to proving Brueckner was behind Madeleine's disappearance, despite claiming they have proof she's dead. A not guilty verdict would increase the pressure on them to charge Brueckner over Maddie's disappearance. He is accused of carrying out sickening crimes in the Algarve between 2000 and 2017. Judge Engman ruled in July that the evidence against him was insufficient, a strong indication that he will be acquitted. So this is the news that I think the other side is kind of dreading, that he will be acquitted. And this is possibly the last attempt before there is a decision made. The charges against him include the alleged attack of Irish tour rep Hazel Bean, who was attacked in her Praia da Rocha apartment in 2004. He's also accused of attacking a teenage girl in his Praia da Luz home and attacking an elderly woman in her holiday apartment. Andreas Zott, representing Irish victim Bihan, said it was clear Brueckner is a serial attacker who attacked multiple women in Portugal. He told the judge she had heard enough evidence during the course of the trial to convict him of the crimes. Brueckner faces a child sex charge for allegedly exposing himself to a German girl on a beach in Salema in April 2007. His final charge relates to an alleged indecent exposure in front of an 11-year-old in 2017. Chief Public Prosecutor Lindman told Brunswick Regional Court today that Brueckner is a serial attacker. So, my guess is, considering what he says here, that he faces charges for exposing himself to a girl, and then another charge related to an alleged indecent exposure in front of another 11-year-old child. My guess is that he might get a conviction on this, maybe for indecent exposure, but that's hardly anywhere near him having anything to do with Madeleine's disappearance. I don't know, maybe the prosecution will get the chance of keeping him in for the indecent exposure, although I'm not quite sure. I mean, I don't know, because even, for example, if I'm not saying that is right what he did, whatever he did, but all I'm saying is that even if you, for example, as an adult, you relieve yourself in public, you are still accused of indecent exposure. So, or if you do it and there are children around or there is a school around and stuff like that, they will say that you are trying to expose yourself, even though you are only, relieving yourself because nature calls. So, the prosecutor said that there are eye-catching similarities between the attacks, the sexual attacks, and the attack on the pensioner, which he is behind bars for. The prosecutor said that the attacks also echoed vile fantasy stories involving women and children penned by Brueckner. The prosecutor said that he got a kick out of the suffering his victims went through before and after they were attacked. She said it's about the excitement of getting an innocent person and enjoying tormenting and subjugating them. His core fantasies are defenseless female victims. These attacks were all carried out by the one person, the accused. As she spoke, Brueckner, sitting alongside his legal team, stared at the prosecutor while occasionally taking notes. His trial is due to end next month. Brueckner is suspected of snatching and killing the 3-year-old British youngster in May 2007 while she was on holiday with her family in Praia da Luz, Portugal. He denied any involvement in her disappearance. A not guilty verdict in Brueckner's current trial would increase the pressure on German prosecutors to charge Brueckner over Madeleine's disappearance. They are expected to appeal to a higher court in Germany if he is cleared of the charges. It also emerged today that Christian Brueckner's trial could end next week. His trial in Brunswick was expected to finish in December, but could now be over in days. Judge Ute Engman revealed today that she could announce her verdict in the long-running case next Tuesday. I wanted to say something before I move on with the article. About the appeal to higher court in Germany. I'm not quite sure that they would be able to appeal because if there wasn't enough evidence for Brueckner to be convicted in this trial, I doubt that a higher court would consider that there is. But I guess we'll have to see how it goes. So the judge made the announcement after being urged to jail Brueckner for 15 years for the alleged crimes in the Algarve. The judge ruled in July that the evidence against him was insufficient a strong indication that he will be acquitted. If he's cleared, he will be freed next year, which is a nightmare scenario for Madeleine investigators. Detectives appear no closer to proving he was behind the disappearance, despite claiming that they have proof she's dead. A not guilty verdict would increase the pressure on them to charge Brueckner over Madeleine's disappearance. Prosecutors are expected to appeal to a higher court in Germany if he's cleared of the charges. He is accused of carrying out sickening crimes between 2000 and 2017 in the Algarve. They include the alleged attack of Irish tour rep Hazel Behan, who was attacked in her Praia da Rocha apartment in 2004. And this is the end of the article. So there you go. So there you go. He is expected to be acquitted. And yeah, now I think we can kind of tell why they are trying all sorts of stories lately. And I must say that in the age of social media, especially in the age of TikTok, somebody has a brilliant PR team, don't they? In my opinion. Up until now, there was Facebook, where there were all sorts of stuff around the Madeleine McCann investigation and Brueckner. Now, because we, how can I say, we improved on technology and blah, blah, and all these kind of platforms, they have moved to one of the social media platforms which is the most popular in the world, and that is TikTok. And all of a sudden, it's like an explosion of Madeleine McCann content on TikTok in regards specifically to Brueckner and how he allegedly confessed to doing something to Madeleine McCann. And again, in my opinion, it kind of goes to show that somebody is doing a brilliant job at this PR thing, because they targeted the very same most popular social media platform, where we know that you've got people from all over the world, all ages, going on TikTok, right? And apart from that, you also have X, former Twitter, which is owned by Elon Musk, and X as well became very popular lately due to the purchase that Elon Musk did, right? So now we have two social media platforms which are pushing and pushing Madeleine McCann content and Christian Brueckner content, specifically apparently confessing to Madeleine McCann's abduction. So there we go. That's why more funds are needed for that lovely PR team, allegedly, in my opinion, because they are doing a brilliant job, aren't they? Is it the same PR team that they had as in the McCanns? Now, this is just in my opinion. Yeah, this is the article I read. Okay. Guys, you know what? Let's take a 5 minutes break. I need to take something for my headache because I have a horrible headache. I mean, I'm taking so much cocodamol. It's like I'm taking the maximum dosage a day, 8 tablets a day of cocodamol. And I need to go and have another one. Oh, gosh. Okay, so let's take like a 5 minute break to gather our thoughts, and then we'll be back. We have 2 more articles left to go through. And I think that the last article is going to be the most interesting because of the psychiatric expert. I can't speak anymore either. See, that's why I need a bit of a break. Because of the psychiatric aspect of Christian Brueckner, and more info around his childhood and what happened during his childhood with his family situation and stuff like that. So we will go through that article as well. For now, guys, 5 minutes break. You guys get yourself some tea or coffee or a painkiller like me, some water, whatever, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes. I'm going to black the screen and mute my audio for now, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, and I'm back, everyone. Before we move on to the next article, I'm gonna catch up on your guys' comments real quick. So, Julie, we are carrying on with that girl who said she's Madeleine McCann. So, no, they didn't. They lied directly in her phone call. Well, I don't know what to say about that, to be honest with you. I didn't really look much into anything. So I'm not sure. To be honest, I wasn't sure about the girl from the beginning because my opinion is that Madeleine McCann, unfortunately, is not alive anymore. So I didn't really give any credibility to anyone who claimed to be her over the years. And Jill is also saying Operation Grange is corrupt. They are definitely desperate to pin something on Brueckner to corroborate the McCann story. Yes, I agree with that. Definitely, yeah. Elizabeth, I'm not sure I've seen you on my channel before, but welcome anyway. So Elizabeth is saying, in my opinion, it's the parents and their PDF friends who are guilty. So obvious. Yes, a lot of us do agree with you on this. A lot of us do believe that it's the parents and their friends. William is saying Christian Bruckner will be acquitted. I'm hoping he will be. But the question still remains, if he is acquitted in regards to Madeleine McCann, I think that they will be trying to find a new scapegoat, and I'm wondering who is he going to be next? Because I'm not seeing any time soon that they are willing to let this go. Elizabeth is also saying poor little Maddie, she's at peace now. Maybe she will be more at peace once we find out the whole truth. But indeed, now is carried on for so long, for so many years. She went missing in 2007. And sadly, with all of this news media coverage, it's barely about Madeleine anymore, which is really, really sad because at the end of the day, we still have a baby girl who went missing in 2007. And it seems that a lot of people forgot about this. Julie saying, poor you, that's horrible. Cocodamol causes repeat headaches. Try migraine tablets like Rizatriotan, maybe. They work for me. Well, honestly, to be honest with you, I am diagnosed with migraines as well. And I take sumatriptan for the migraines prescribed by my doctor. But I didn't take today any sumatriptan because they usually make me feel really, really sleepy. And when I take one, I have to go to bed. I have to sleep. And I knew that I'm going to go live tonight. So I didn't want to take sumatriptan. Hence, I took cocodamol. And normally, cocodamol is prescribed for my lower back pain, not even for headaches, but I do take it for headaches as well when I'm not taking sumatriptan. William is also saying Sean Atwood is a convicted drug smuggler into US. He did time, then deported to England. Now his job is getting clicks with Julia. You can Google his name and see. Well, like I mentioned previously in this live a bit earlier on, I'm not really looking at other YouTubers who are covering anything to do with Madeleine McCann because I don't really want to my judgment to be affected by stuff I hear here and there, which are not substantiated in any way or another. So I did watch a couple of videos of Sean Atwood. I don't think I ever watched videos around his coverage on Madeleine McCann. I know of him, but not so much to form an opinion either way. So I don't know, and I don't know about the smuggling. I will look into him on Google since you mentioned this. But yeah, like I said, I don't really follow anyone who is covering Madeleine McCann. William is also saying it's public. Well, yeah, since it's public, I'm going to probably find a lot of information on Google. So I'll Google him just to get some more info. Okay, guys, ready for the next article? Oops, let me get it on the screen. There it is. And this article is from Daily Record, titled Madeleine McCann Update with Fresh Agony as with fresh agony for family as major news given on prime suspect. And this article was written by Julia Benim on 2nd of October 2024, or rather published on 2nd of October. And it goes like this. Madeleine McCann's family are facing further heartache as a significant update has been provided on the main suspect in the missing persons case. Brueckner, currently on trial in Germany, is accused of horrific sex crimes against women and children in the Algarve between 2000 and 2017. Now, before I carry on reading, I'm going to repeat what I said a bit earlier in the live. There will be a couple of things which are repeating themselves. However, there's also new information which was not said in the other articles. So that's why you might hear some repetitions here as well. So these allegations are not related to Maddie's disappearance, like we already know, who went missing during a family holiday in May 2007. However, Brueckner, currently the prime suspect, with German police finding evidence linked to Madeleine in his camper van. The German sex offender who resided in Praia da Luz when Madeleine disappeared is serving a 7-year prison sentence for attacking an American pensioner in the Portuguese resort. He denies any involvement in Madeleine's case, which remains unsolved to this day. Parents Kate and Jerry have never lost hope of finding their daughter, who was just 3 years old when she vanished from their Ocean Club apartment. Regrettably, they have had to deal with another devastating setback today. It seems that I can't read anymore, but I'm gonna try. Keep on trying. Although Brueckner's trial in Braunschweig was initially expected to conclude in December, it could now end within days. Judge Ut Engman revealed today that she might announce her verdict in the long-standing case next Tuesday, October the 8th, meaning the case could be concluded by next week, reports the Mirror. The judge provided an update after being urged to sentence Brueckner to 15 years for the alleged crimes in Algarve. In July, the judge ruled that the evidence against him was insufficient, hinting at a possible acquittal. If he is acquitted, he could be a free man next year, a result that would be catastrophic for the ongoing investigation into Madeleine's disappearance. I mean, it's not like they had any evidence against him in regards to Madeleine's disappearance anyway. Despite claims of having proof that she is dead, detectives seem no closer to proving that he was responsible for the toddler's disappearance. And you would think, considering that he's on trial and that they keep on going that he's involved in Madeleine's disappearance, and they keep on going that they have proof Madeleine McCann is dead, you would think that they would present this evidence in court, which they haven't, because if they would, it's possible that it would be mentioned, right? Because it would be like a bombshell revelation. So the fact that it wasn't revealed in court kind of leads me and a lot of us, I suppose, to think that they have absolutely no proof that she's dead. So I think it's just saying it. Maybe thinking that the more they say, the real it gets. I don't know. It's just, in my opinion, it's just nonsense. A not guilty verdict would increase pressure to charge Brueckner over Maddie's disappearance. It's anticipated that if he is acquitted, prosecutors will appeal to a higher court in Germany. So again, like I said from the previous article, considering that there is insufficient evidence against Brueckner for him to stay in prison, right? And considering that there was no evidence presented in court in terms of Madeleine being dead, I highly doubt that there would be enough evidence for an appeal in the higher court. But, this is just the way that I see this happening. So, moving on, it's more or less the same article. Brueckner is accused of a series of horrific crimes, including the attack of a teenage girl in his Praia da Luz home and the attack of an elderly woman in her holiday apartment. The defendant, labeled a serial attacker by the chief public prosecutor, also faces a child sex charge for allegedly exposing himself to a German girl on Salima Beach in April 2007, while his final charge relates to an alleged incident of indecent exposure in front of an 11-year-old in 2017. Recently, Laurențiu, which we've known from the previous article, the Romanian guy, right, who is a witness, so we get his last name, his full last name as well, Laurențiu Codin, a former cellmate of Brueckner, gave evidence in court claiming that Brueckner confessed to abducting a child while in Portugal. Laurențiu, aged 50, recounted, "He told me that in Portugal he had stolen there. He was in a region where there are hotels and rich people live. He said there was somewhere with an open window. He told me this. He was looking for money. He said he didn't find any money but found a kid and took the child. He said that 2 hours later there were police and dogs all over the place, so he then went away out of the area. He said he took the child in Portugal in his car, and in the time when the police and dogs were at the house, he drove away and he was gone. He asked me if the DNA from a child can be taken from bones under the ground." You see what's funny here? Well, it's not funny, but I can't really find another word for it. It's just something that I'm hooked on. So, from our previous article, this witness's last name was not mentioned. It was only Laurențiu C. Because apparently in Germany they are not usually releasing the witnesses' last names or even the suspects, I believe. So it's interesting that from one article to another you kind of get all his information, right? Like here, for example, you get his full first and last name. Okay, so Laurențiu Codin, even though in Germany they are not supposed to release his last name, still his last name is released. So, it works really well, doesn't it? The rules in Germany. In June, the court heard from German senior detective Titus Stampa, who discussed emails found on Brueckner's Hotmail account that allegedly connect him to Madeleine's disappearance. Stampa referred to it as the murder account and stated he couldn't discuss the emails in detail because they were related to the killing. Hold on. Oh, I just spilled my water. Great. Wonderful. Okay, so again, we have the senior detective Titus Stampa, who said that he discovered emails and referred to these emails as the murder account, but he can't really discuss the emails because they were related to the killing. It's very funny that you can't discuss the emails because they are related to the killing, yet you can release the fact that you have the emails and stuff like that, but then you don't really mention anything in court to help your case against Brueckner, but yet you have emails detailing that they are related to the killing, which is kind of Oh, I'm confused. That's how I feel. And I think that a lot of us are feeling the same way. Not confusing, but rather frustrating because everything that they say kind of goes head to head. Furthermore, in May, Met Police Detective Constable Mark Draycott revealed information about a voicemail left on a Scotland Yard answer machine in May 2017 regarding Brueckner. The caller, Helgi Bushwing, claimed Brueckner had mentioned that she did not scream in a conversation about Madeleine. When Christian Brueckner was identified as the prime suspect in 2020, Kate and Jerry McCann released a poignant statement saying, "All we have ever wanted is to find her, uncover the truth, and bring those responsible to justice. We will never give up hope of finding Madeleine alive. But whatever the outcome may be, we need to know as we need to find peace." You know what seems interesting to me? With all of these public accusations against Christian Bruckner and all of these things being said about him publicly, there was never any conversation or any kind of statement from the McCanns about Christian Bruckner, in the sense that they would be pushing as him being the person responsible for Madeleine McCann's abduction. Although it's all over the place, nothing really came straight from them, which is very interesting and also strange at the same time, because you would think that they would do everything possible publicly to talk about their beliefs in Christian Bruckner's guilt, but they haven't done that with Bruckner for some reason. I don't know. It seems kind of strange, doesn't it? Because usually they are very vocal about suspects and about their daughter's abduction and about abductors and stuff like that. But Christian Brunner seems the only one that they are not saying anything about. So this is the article. We didn't really get much more new information from it, apart from the witness's last name, or full name, should I say. Laurențiu Codin. So Laurențiu Codin, that's how you pronounce it in Romanian. And this seemed to me a bit, a bit out there, because usually, like I said, you get suspects and witnesses, and their last name is not released, only their initial in Germany. Apparently, it's something to do with their laws or their rules. Yet in some other articles, you have his full name. And the same goes for Helgi. It was exactly the same story with him as well. And it was the same story with Christian Bruckner at the beginning, if you remember. If you remember, the very first time when his photo was released to the media, even his eyes were censored, and it was only his first name and his last name's initial released. But then come other news articles, his full name was released, as well as his photo without the black censor on his eyes. Bernadette is saying, can Christian Bruckner end up with a big payout from this if innocent? I really hope he can. I'm not sure, but that's what I've been saying as well for a very long time, considering all of these false accusations against him so publicly being made. I even said in another live that I really hope, if he can, he will sue everybody that he can sue for a payout, because no matter what, no matter of the things that he did, we can all agree he's a criminal, okay, and he should be punished for whatever he did. But when it comes to Madeleine McCann, he's been vilified in the media by everybody apart from the McCanns. And that will take me to the next comment, from William, which is, they attack Amaral but not Bruckner or Julia. You know why I think they are not attacking Bruckner? And it kind of connects with what Bernadette was saying, that can CB end up with a big payout from this. I think that the McCanns, they don't really want to be liable legally and financially, in the sense that maybe Brueckner can sue people or newspapers for defamation, and maybe the McCanns, they don't want to be liable for any kind of lawsuit against them. So this could maybe be one of the reasons why they are not vocal. And with Julia as well, but I'm not sure if this is the case. I'm not sure if I'm right, but this could be one of the reasons, maybe because they kind of learned their lesson when they took Amaral to court. Remember that Amaral won and the judge decided that they have to pay him back. So I don't know, this could be one of the reasons why. I'm not quite sure, but I'm not really seeing any other reason as to why they were not vocal, and they are not vocal when it comes to Bruckner and Julia. David is saying, is Julia Wondel a half sister of Maddie? Maybe. Just a thought. Honestly, I have no idea. I have no idea. Like I said, I didn't look into Julia at all. And the reason why I didn't do this is because I didn't really believe that there is any chance Madeleine could be alive. So any claim that somebody is Madeleine McCann, it didn't seem believable to me. So I didn't really look into Julia. The only thing I thought, not about Julia in particular, but about the private investigator who got involved in her case, I thought that this investigator, she's looking for some kind of coverage so she can earn more. So I was really looking at financial gain from her side, as in not looking, investigating, but rather that was my opinion of the reason why the private investigator got involved. Michelle is saying, I applaud Amaral because he made so many great points in the investigation. Yes, he did. Yes. And he got very close, in my opinion, and I think a lot of you will agree. He got very close, and that's the reason why he got stopped from carrying on. If you remember, if you've read his book, or if you've seen my lives when I was reading his book, if you remember that he was actually threatened. You remember the story about the dog, when his neighbor's house was broken into, and I think that the dog was killed. And Amaral mentioned in the book that he believes it was his house which they targeted, but they got the wrong house. William is also saying, if Julia was mad, it takes pressure off the McCanns. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yes, it does. Then that begs another question, really. Why haven't they said anything? I mean, maybe they could have, got along with the story, saying that, yeah, they believe that she is and stuff like that. And it kind of confuses you in the end, because then what is the end goal that they have? Because if the end goal of theirs is that they are innocent of Madeleine's disappearance, then it kind of doesn't make sense that they don't say anything about this Julia girl. So what is their end goal then? It's all very strange, isn't it? It seems like maybe there's something bigger at play here. I really don't know. Because thinking about it logically, I mean, put yourself in this situation. Well, you can't really do that, but say, for example, you are guilty of something, and there is something which you can use to help you overall, and to prove to the world that you are not guilty of that thing, even though you are, then you would take the opportunity to show that you are not. even though you know that you are, but rather to show to the world that you're not. So I really don't know what the game is here. Bernadette is saying probably a load of lab babies with shared DNA. That wouldn't be so surprising, because one thing that struck out to me from the beginning of this case was that all of the kids who went on holiday with the McCanns and the group, so all of the children in this group, they were more or less the same age, which is very strange to me. It seemed very strange. I mean, okay, I get that if you're a doctor, your friends would be probably in the same field because that's how you meet people, right? At your place of work, for example. But then to have a group of people who are professionals, medical professionals, with the kids of the same age, it's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, what are the chances that you would get both of these things in the same group? Bernadette is saying, if he was my child, I would be thinking every child was her. Exactly, I know, right? I mean, in normal circumstances, every parent has the hope, right? And they will always have hope. And they will all jump at the idea that they could be their child instead of being all quiet and just not saying anything or not doing anything. That's why I'm saying it's just weird. It's just so weird. No, William is saying silence has worked for McCann's. They're twins. Yeah, silence worked for McCann's. That's true. The thing is that the twins are now old, over 18-year-old, I think. And we live in a world where everybody has access to social media and to the internet. And it's and I know that the McCanns, they did try throughout the children's upbringing not to give them access to the internet, but now the children are at the age where they will have access to the internet anyway, from anywhere. So I'm wondering, the twins, what do they think? Guys, okay, I have one more article for you, okay? This one is from the Olive Press. And this has quite a few articles on Madeleine Mccann. So if you want to, not on Madeleine Mccann, but rather on Christian Brueckner. So if you want to, go through more articles, you are more than welcome to check the olivepress.es, which is Spain, but obviously you can get it in English as well. And here is the article that I said about Brueckner and the psychiatrist thing. I really thought it would be interesting to kind of get an insight into Bruckner's childhood and his life in general, if we are to trust the psychiatrist. Okay, so this one is the article and also the website, so the Olive Press. And the article that I'm going to be reading is from 27th of September 2024 by Lawrence Dollimore. And it's titled Madeleine McCann suspect Christian Brueckner is in top 1% of dangerous criminals with penchant for sadism and PDF. Psychiatrist tells court. Dr. Christian Riedman gave his assessment of the German PDF during his trial at Brunswick Court on Friday. Brueckner is being tried for 5 separate sex offenses, including 3 attacks and 2 child abuse cases, but not for the disappearance of McCann, although he remains the prime suspect. Dr. Widman, who is 54 years old, told the court that Brueckner belongs in the absolute top league of dangerousness and in the top 1% of dangerous criminals. He called for the serial attacker to be held in preventative detention if convicted, saying the chances of him offending within 2 years of being released were high. Dr. Riedman, boss of the Lower Saxony criminal system, said Bruckner refused to meet with him or answer his questions. He did the same in 2019. It means he has had to speculate based on the available evidence, which goes back to his first child abuse offense as a teenager. The expert said in particular he had viewed the twisted drawings and diary entries of Bruckner in which he detailed sexual fantasies involving children. Now, point here, I'm gonna jump in with my opinion on this, okay? So Dr. Riedman is saying that Bruckner refused to meet with him or answer his questions. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this doctor's assessment is purely based on the evidence presented to him by the court, okay? So the evidence probably by the prosecution, which in my opinion could be biased because we know that the trial has prosecution and defense, right? The prosecution is meant to show that the accused is guilty of something, whilst the defense is meant to defend the accused, right? So in so many times, the prosecution will only add into their court bundle what they think is a positive for their side, right? So if the prosecution handed over the available evidence to the psychiatrist and the psychiatrist didn't have a chance to have an interview with or an assessment face to face with Bruckner, then it's kind of an assumption that the psychiatrist is making based only on the court evidence, which again in my opinion is not 100% accurate because like I said, they are only reading and seeing what the court presents them, as in the psychiatrist is only reading and seeing this. The psychiatrist didn't really have a chance to speak with Bruckner, to speak with the accused before forming their opinion based on evidence in court, right? Because, for example, say that the psychiatrist is reading something and they need clarification from the accused, but the accused is refusing any questions, so the psychiatrist really can't reach any conclusion on that certain thing that they want more info on, if you get what I mean. So it's kind of like one-sided because you don't really hear from the other side. As a psychiatrist, I think that the most unbiased thing you can do and you can base your report on is to hear and see both sides, not just one. Okay, so let's just move on to what else the expert said. Dr. Riedman said they belong in the top 1% of sexual abnormalities, and I have seen a lot of things. The expert said Bruckner likely has a sexual disorder that gives him a preference for sadism and PDF. He said if convicted, Bruckner should be locked up in the interest of public safety. Okay, so this might seem like it's out of context, what I'm going to tell you next. I'm going to comment on this as well. Because remember Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. And the only reason why I'm mentioning this is because this was a very public trial and we could all see the process in court, including expert witnesses. And we know that expert witnesses in court, they are paid either by the defense or by the prosecution, okay, depending for which side they are the witnesses, the expert witnesses. So potentially, if you have an expert witness like Dr. Riedman, and this is just my opinion, and Dr. Riedman is testifying on behalf of the prosecution, then potentially you have the doctor saying something which is positive for the prosecution against the defense because the doctor is getting paid for the report as an expert witness, right? And so if the doctor doesn't side with the prosecution, then there is a potential that this doctor is not going to be requested again as an expert witness for his services for another trial by the prosecution. Do you get where I'm getting here? So it's quite possible that this doctor is not 100% basing his opinion on the evidence that he has, but rather on what the prosecution wants the doctor to have in the report. Because otherwise, the doctor could lose the opportunity for another payment as an expert witness in a future trial. So I just wanted to put this out there before I carry on. A fellow prisoner who shared the cell with Brueckner in 2019-2020 told the court this week that he had admitted to snatching children on various occasions. Romanian cleaner Laurențiu Codin, 50 years old, told the court on Wednesday that he had snatched Maddie from the Ocean Club in Praia da Luz. He added he also asked his advice on getting fake passports and driving licenses and if DNA showed up on bones. He added that at least one other prisoner also heard the claims. Brueckner, who grew up in an abusive foster family, is said to have been beaten by his foster parents and became a criminal early on. In 1993, he abused a child for the first time before abusing a second. So if we are into true crime in general and true crime cases, then we know that in the majority of cases where a criminal has been abused as a child, it's far more likely that they will in turn become criminals in adulthood because of the abusive situation that they have at home, which is not a justification whatsoever, because not all children who have been abused as children will turn out to be criminals later on in life. But you can see that this could be a reason why Brueckner in adulthood becomes a criminal, because of the abusive childhood that he had. And it's not unnatural for children who are abused in turn to turn as adults in abusers of children because of what they went through as children. Again, I'm not saying that all abused children will turn out criminals, but there are a lot of cases in which this happens, and it's more likely most of the time that a child who's been abused as a child in adulthood will turn into a criminal who in turn abuses children. But of course, like I said, this is not always the case, but there is a possibility. It really depends on the person. So after he abused the child for the first time, Brueckner, in 1993, he abused the second. In 1994, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison for both attacks when he was 17 years old. But before finishing his 3-year sentence, he fled to Portugal, where he was arrested in 1999 and extradited. After his stint in prison, he returned to Portugal, taking casual jobs and committing petty crimes, including burglary and drug dealing. In September 2005, he raped a 72-year-old American woman, but would not be sentenced for the crime until 2019. He's now accused of having committed 3 more rapes in Portugal, including that of Irish expat Hazel Beon on June 16, 2004. The victims in the other 2 cases remain anonymous. British toddler McCann vanished from Praia da Luz in the Algarve in 2007. Brueckner was living and working in the area at the time of her disappearance and remains the prime suspect in the case. And this is all from this article. The reason why I showed you this article is because of the psychiatrist's view and also Christian Brueckner's childhood. Let me stop this. Okay. So we are all done with the articles for today. I'm gonna catch up on the comments real quick, and then I'm gonna tell you why I think that Brueckner is in the news again. Bernadette is saying the twins would have overheard something over the years. Walls have ears, kind of things. Yes, I agree with you. I think that they must have. I would love to be a fly on the wall, really, and know what they think. I mean, it's, as a child, growing up with your parents, I think it would be hard for them to believe that Kate and Jerry did something wrong. I don't know. I really don't. It really depends on their overall relationship with their parents, I suppose. Because, sometimes children, they do think the worst of their parents. Other times, children, they don't believe that their parents can do anything wrong. So, kind of really depends on them and their relationship with their parents, I would think. Hey, Radai, thank you for joining. It's good to see you again. And Radai is saying, we've only ever seen the girl. I've heard the boy has been hard work, probably asking too many hard questions for their liking. This could be the case. Maybe he's confronting them with what he's reading online or seeing online. I really don't know. But like I said, how great would it be to be a fly on that wall? Or maybe there will be a day or a time when one of them will go publicly on record saying what they think. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. Bernadette is saying it's a very good question. If the twins do know something, do you think they will ever speak out? I just said, like a couple of minutes ago, that it really depends, I think, on their relationship with their parents, with Kate and Jerry. If they had, let's say, a loving relationship throughout their childhood into adulthood with their parents and they are close to each other, I highly doubt that they will ever speak out, and I highly doubt that they would even believe that the parents did something. On the other hand, if they didn't have such a great relationship with the parents, or one of them didn't, then it's possible that one of them will speak out. I am not quite sure. I think that we need to have a lot more information around the twins and around their home life, which I don't think we will have. But I am hoping that one day, at least one of the twin will come forward and say something, even if they don't say anything negative, against their parents, but just to say something like, what do they believe happened? Like, what story did they hear? What did their parents tell them? These kind of things, because you can also tell from what they would say, kind of like what the narrative is in that household. William is saying, doctor diagnosed without interview? No. Exactly. That was my thought as well. But do you know what? It happens. It happens even here in the UK, in England. It happens. Doctors, they diagnose all the time, specifically psychiatrists or psychologists, they diagnose all the time without interview. Really, they do. And I have a personal involvement with this, so I can tell you for sure that they do here in England. So if it's done here in England, I'm quite sure that it's done in other countries as well. And the most public example would be Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Remember the psychiatrist who was on the side of Amber Heard? She gave her opinion on Johnny Depp and she never interviewed him, as far as I remember. So it can be done. And it's done. And the doctors are saying that they are basing their opinion and their final report on the evidence that's presented to them by the court. And like I said previously, if the evidence in court is somehow either biased or incomplete, then without having an interview with the person you are basing your report on, you won't be able to form a genuine opinion of them, because it's not like you had contact with them. You only had contact with them through evidence from the court, which is not always complete or 100% truthful. Reda is saying, yeah, I think they will eventually. They have to surely. Otherwise, they are just as bad, my opinion. Yeah, in a sense, I do agree with you. Although in another sense, if the children don't believe that their parents did anything wrong, then they will never come forward, because their belief would still be that the parents did nothing wrong, or they didn't have anything to do with Maddie's disappearance. I guess it all comes down to the way they were raised and the stories they've been fed. Because I think we can all agree that children are the easiest to be manipulated, and over time they grow up with the belief which was instilled in them since they were very little. So as an adult, then it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to change their mind. Rada is saying truth always comes out eventually. Yes, I agree with you on that. I do agree. Truth always comes out eventually, no matter how long it takes. At one point, it will. William is saying German setup of Christian Brueckner safe face. Agreed. And Red Eye seems to agree as well. Absolutely. Fall Guy, Patsy. Red Eye is also saying you're looking well, Cat. Hope life is getting better for you. Thank you so much, Red Eye. I'm taking it day by day. Oh, hey, Jackie. Haven't seen you for a long time. Yeah, I'm still here. Still doing lives, not as often as I would like to, but I'm trying my best. How are you? Reda is saying phone diagnosis since 2020. Yes, I have an opinion about phone diagnosis as well, if I'm honest with you. I don't believe in them at all. Because I think that, especially when you are a therapist, this is just my opinion, because I don't have any professional opinion, okay? This is just my opinion. If you are a therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, I don't think that you can have a diagnosis over the phone with someone that you've never physically met or be in the same room with them. On the phone, you can't read their face, you can't see their gestures, their demeanor, their overall behavior to 100% accurately, have a diagnosis. Even in person, you wouldn't be able to 100% have a diagnosis, but still, it's much different, isn't it? It's like you would have a doctor's appointment over the phone, and you would say to the doctor, I have a cut on my leg, and the doctor would just prescribe some painkillers without even seeing the cut, just because you say it's a cut, right? And maybe you are bleeding and you are dying. Excuse me. Michelle is saying, yes, the dog was unalived and was the wrong house. Yes. And I remember specifically Amaral was saying that he believed they targeted his house, but they made a mistake. And it was meant to scare him, right? Hey, Jixie Wixie, I love your username. It's so much fun. Oh, yes, I know who you are. I'm seeing your photo. Hey, you changed it then? Hey, I missed you too. Thanks for being here. I'm good, thanks. You're looking great. I'm glad to see your videos. Thank you so much. I'm glad to have you here, and I'm glad to have all of you here. And I'm also more than happy that you guys are bearing with me and you are still interested in my content. So, yay! It's a win-win. Okay, now I have to tell you what I think about Brueckner being in the news again. I think it's mainly to do with more funding. Honestly, this is what I think. I think that there is further funding that they want to get, and they are, and Brueckner is again being pushed in the media because they want to show that they are doing something about somebody in relation to Madeleine McCann's disappearance to justify requesting more funding. That's what I believe, and I think that the funding will be approved, and I think after the funding is approved, there will be something else in the media about Madeleine McCann's disappearance, just to justify the funding received and that they are looking into it still. But this is what I think. This is why I think Brueckner is in the news. And it's possibly also to do with something much bigger behind closed doors, which could be happening, and the bigger forces out there are trying to distract us. This has happened before, and we all know. And you know what? Sometimes I'm thinking to myself and I'm wondering and I'm saying to myself that I'm too paranoid, and maybe it's just paranoia. But in the end, the things that I've been thinking and considered paranoid, they kind of ended up being true. So, you know, sometimes you doubt yourself, but other times I think it's best to just trust your instinct. Jigsy Wigsy is saying, I watched a live earlier. Didi, Portugal featured heavily. Didi, is that the singer? I keep I keep hearing about Didi and what's happening with Didi, but I didn't really get into this Didi situation. Okay, I'm just gonna Google it really quick because now I'm curious. Ah, oh, okay. Justin Bieber thing as well. Right. I get it. I get it. And there are so many celebrities now involved in this, aren't they? From the top of my head, just like, reading the headlines and stuff like that, because I'm not really usually reading the articles. Okay, let me see something now, something else. Just give me a second, guys. I'm reading an article here and I don't want to say anything until I have more, if I think that there is more to be said. So, okay, I want to show you another article. because I told you that I believe this thing with Christian Brueckner is something to do with the funding, with more funding as it is. I just found now quickly an article. Now this one is going to be on your screen right now. Right, this one. This is from 2nd of May 2024. I just wanted to double check something. And it says here, responding to a parliamentary written question by Conservative peer Lord Black of Brentwood, Lord Sharp said, quote, for the year 2024-2025, the Home Office has agreed to provide up to £192,000 to the Metropolitan Police Service through special grant funding for Operation Grange, the investigation into the disappearance of Madeleine Mccann. At March 31st, 2024, the total cost of the investigation was £13.2 million. He added, Operation Grange's special grant budget currently funds a team of 3 police officers and 1 member of police staff, all of whom operate on a part-time basis. Special grant funding is reviewed annually by the Home Office. The department also liaises regularly with the Operation Grange investigation team to assess progress and challenge the use of funds as necessary. So, we've got £192,000 for a year, which is going to be ending in May 2025. Okay, so very close. So I'm guessing that around Christmas time, probably December or so, they are going to try and request more funding. Now, if you've paid attention to the articles that I've just read in this live, the Brueckner's trial was due to be ending in December, but the judge said that it's probable she will give her decision by next week. So if he is acquitted, then he will be released early next year, right? As he was mentioned in the articles. So this could have something to do with the funding or with the bigger picture of this singer Didi and trafficking allegations. I'm not sure. William is saying, UK tired of continuing funding? I don't think so. I think they will carry on doing it for some reason. And I think that reason is a big one, but it's gonna be impossible to find out. Yeah, Jigsy, Wigsy, Clement Freud, etc. So many big names are there. So many. Jackie Baldwinson is saying, hello, I would love to hear your reaction to the latest Sean Atwood YouTube number 7 in his series on McCann's. The new DNA matches to Julie after being compared to the McCann's mixed family DNA information. To be honest with you, Jackie, I'm not really following Sean Atwood. I'm going to have a look at the video you mentioned, and maybe I'm going to consider a reaction to his video. First, I need to, see and hear what he has to say. Red Eye saying intuition, we sense it for a reason, right? Yes, you are 100% right. And as for the intuition side, I want to tell you guys a story. But let me just grab some water first. This is about the 2020 situation. You remember, guys, with the lockdown and how everybody was kind of pushed to have these things done. I don't want to say it in case it's still a problem with YouTube. So I want to tell you a story. So you do know I'm from Romania, and I have friends and acquaintances in Romania. Some of them are Romanians who have moved to Italy as well. Okay, and there is something which has how can I say, oh, what's the name for it? There is something which all of them have in common. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you the story of one of my acquaintances first. She's a woman, she's in her 40s, and a couple of weeks ago she had a brain bleed which sent her in a coma, and she came out of the coma very recently, like maybe a week ago or so, and she is now in a wheelchair, and she's barely able to talk. So she talks about 2 or 3 words, but not as she used to before. And she's paralyzed now on one side of her body. So she had a brain bleed, and the cause is unknown. It seems that there was something in her blood which caused that bleed on her brain. It's not an aneurysm, it's something else. They are still investigating because they still couldn't figure out the cause of it. And they are planning to move back to Romania, her and her husband, because being in a wheelchair, she doesn't really have access to where she lives right now, proper access. And they are looking into getting a house in Romania because it's cheaper than Italy, and a house which has more access to the wheelchair. But okay, let's put that to aside a bit. I also have another neighbor. She was my neighbor in Romania. She's an elderly lady. She's in her 70s. She's a very good friend of my grandmother. And she was okay until about a year ago, when she started getting depressed. She went into a very deep depression, and she started imagining all of these things, that she can't speak, that she can't walk, that she's paralyzed, that she can't eat, she's choking. But all of these things that she's saying and she said were all in her mind, because in reality she can walk, she can talk, she can eat, and she's okay. But in her mind she can't do all of these things. So she was diagnosed with a certain condition, basically that it's all in her head. I can't remember the disease that they said she's got, but she's got something. Okay, and now she's in a hospice, she's in hospice care, and she's not allowed to have any contact with anyone. She's not allowed any phone calls, no phone, no nothing at all, and she's on treatment. And she's also suspected to have Parkinson's as well, which started very recently. Okay, now put her aside as well for a second, and I'm going to tell you the story about some other of my neighbors. So this is a couple. They are also old, and they're friends with my grandmother as well. So basically neighbors in the same block of flats, right? So this couple, the same floor as the other lady I was telling you about, that she's in hospice. So this couple, the husband, he got really sick, and a couple of weeks ago he ended up in a wheelchair. I'm not sure about the entire story, but he ended up in a wheelchair. He was discharged back to being home. He's not in a wheelchair anymore. But the thing is that now he's very depressed. He fell into a very, very deep depression, to the point that he thinks that his flat is flooding, that his plumbing is not working, that his draining is not working, that his heating is not working, that he doesn't have any food in the fridge. And his wife, she's exactly the same as him, in a deep depression, and she's saying all of these things, that they don't have heating, they don't have food in their fridge, their electricity is not working, their plumbing is not working, they have no water in the house, and stuff like that. And I have I have a younger friend. She's maybe in her 40s, and she went to check up on them, on the couple, because they have no one else. They don't have any family. So she just wanted to make sure that they're okay. And she went and checked on them, and everything was fine in the house. And she even told them, you have food in your fridge, you have water, you have electricity, you have heating, you have everything. So it was all in their head. Okay, so put them to aside as well. Please remember. Then there is somebody else who is the sister of the lady I told you she's in the hospice. She's a couple of years older than this lady, and she had a brain aneurysm. She's okay now, right? But she had a brain aneurysm. What do all these people have in common? What do you think? Your guess. I hope I didn't bore you. But I'm going to give you 5 minutes to tell me in the comments, what do you think these people have in common? Okay, so Jackie is saying, so sorry to hear about your friend. And she's also saying they all have brain issues. William is saying the environment. Bernadette is saying asbestos poisoning or that thing. That thing. David is saying same environment contaminated with something, the water. Jackie is saying, did they take the thing there? I'm not going to pronounce it. Okay, is everybody ready? Do you know what they have in common? Do you know what these people have in common? They took the thing. They never had issues before taking the thing. The lady who is in hospice, she took all the series of all of them available, right? Her granddaughter, she is young, she's in her 20s. She also took them because she went to see her parents in Italy. So the lady from Italy I told you about, who ended up in a wheelchair, so her daughter took them as well because she needed to go to Italy and she needed to have hers done as well. And my prediction is that this girl, she's not going to be fertile ever. My prediction is that she's not going to be able to have children. But all these people that I just told you about, who I know personally, they all took them. My grandmother, for example, who is the same age as the lady in the hospice, they were trying to persuade her and push her to take them, but she said no, and she didn't take them. And she is very, very healthy. I'm going to tell you, she's very, very healthy. And she's not much younger than the rest of them, maybe 3 or 4 years difference. And she's got high blood pressure problems, but she has nothing of concern, nothing at all. And she didn't take them. She didn't. And now she's even scared to even take the flu one because you don't know what's in them. And if you've seen lately how many people came forward publicly to say of all these health problems that have been happening from those things. So yeah, this is what they have in common. It might be hard to believe, but this is what I think is the main reason. Otherwise it's just it's just unbelievable that all of these people who know each other, they have more or less the same problem, and they only have one thing in common with each other, right? William, how long after? Well, they've started taking them as soon as they became available. So I think it was in 2020, isn't it? And as soon as the next one had to be taken, they took them as well. So, and they developed these symptoms in the last year, this last year. Bernadette is saying, Kat, my two friends' daughters who are all in their 20s, one took a spinal stroke, which the brain triggered, and the other girl has been having multiple fits and is triggered from the brain. You see, all of these people, I'm really, really sorry to hear about your daughter's friends. It's really horrible, honestly. The one thing I'm going to say is that all the stories that I've read online and my acquaintances as well, they all have something in common. It's something affecting the brain. Oh, there you go. Jigsy Wigsy is saying my colleague cannot walk properly because of that. See, it's something which everybody kind of has in common. Everybody, I mean those who are showing really serious side effects. Jackie is saying, I'm sorry to hear about your friends. Thank you. Also, medical examiners noticed thickened blood clots. That was one of the things with my friend from Italy, the lady who ended up in the wheelchair. So she had brain bleeding, and they also found some blood clots, and they were trying to get rid of them, and it took much longer than they expected. So she actually had to be moved from one hospital to another because they just couldn't get rid of those. Eventually it seems that they did, but she still needs another brain surgery because she already had two brain surgeries, and she needs a third one after some time. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it is not looking great. David is saying my auntie took it. She was never the same after the last one. High anxiety. My mom and brother continue to have these. I worry about what might happen to them. David, really, honestly, I'm praying and hoping that nothing will happen to them. But I'm a bit, more than a bit worried about all the latest stories that we've seen in the media around this, and a lot of people coming forward, and even the manufacturers getting sued because of side effects which were not made public before, and that they were not released, or nobody was informed about this. But now it seems that slowly, a lot of things are coming to light. Jackie is saying, I and many friends of mine had it and we are all fine. However, my gorgeous friend, who was a beautiful, healthy 29-year-old model, died a few days after. The doctor admitted it was a freak reaction. I'm so sorry to hear about your friend who was only 29-year-old. Yes, I'm also hearing about people taking it and being completely fine with it. And I'm glad that you and many friends of yours who had it are fine and are okay, and I'm hoping you will be in the future. But there are also a lot of people who are not okay, and yeah, it's, I don't know, it's scary. Oh, William is saying, I'm toast. Why did you take it as well? You might not have anything. I think it depends on the person and on your immune system, maybe. I'm not sure. All I know is that all of the people that I said about, the ones that I do know personally and my friends and neighbors, they never had any serious health issues before. One of them just had an allergy, pollen allergy, and the other ones, they had absolutely no health issues at all. Red Eye saying we were outnumbered, or that's how it felt to me anyway. It felt to me that way as well. And also, it was always the push from every single place, from everywhere. The push from the media, the push from the government, the push from the health professionals, the push from even travel agencies, airports, police. Everybody really was trying to push. to push you to get it done, get it done, get it done. And at one point maybe you feel like you don't really have a choice, or you just want the pressure to stop, so you just do it because just stop it already. So I rather just do it so that everybody else keeps quiet. Long COVID, they tell me. Is that what they told you? I'm really hoping it's just long COVID, but also I've been reading that long COVID, it has some really horrible symptoms as well. So, as for what I wanted to cover in tonight's live, I've said everything that I wanted to say about the articles and about Christian Brueckner. And I'm just going to, wrap up in saying that I don't think there's anything new in these new news articles, and all the hype going around on social media, in particular on TikTok. It's nothing new. Christian Brueckner didn't make any confession. It's alleged that he made a confession to Laurentiu, his cellmate. That is what the cellmate is claiming. So we just don't know. And all of those people on social media who are saying that he did make a confession, that's not the case. The cellmate alleges that he made a confession to him. That's all it was. And I don't think it should be trusted either way. William is saying, honestly, I hope all of you are well. I really hope all of you are well as well. And that's including you, William. Even if you took it or you didn't take it, it doesn't matter. Even if you took it, you took it because you thought was right. And a lot of people did the same. Jigsy Wigsy is saying, no one will admit to this though. Massive scandal. Very true. Red Eye is saying, family members, friends. I was in a minority, but I stood my ground. Yes, I was also pushed, me and my husband, by one part of our family, but we just didn't. No, we didn't. And even the school was trying to push us to agree for my daughter and my son to have it, and we said no. And they said that because my daughter, she was 12 years old, she can decide for herself. So we sent an email in writing to school to make sure that we have proof that we do not agree for her to have it, because this was the only one where you didn't need parental approval for school, which seemed even weirder to me. So if if she was 12 and she decided she wants to have it, she could have it done without our approval, which is insane. So we specifically sent an email to the school saying that we do not agree, in writing. And we said we need it to be in writing to make sure we have evidence that we do not agree for her to have it. She didn't. But I'm just saying that even the schools, they were trying to push. Red Eye saying, I've lost a few friends and family members due to ill health after taking it. They were healthy before it. I'm so sorry to hear about that. I'm really sorry. William is saying, good job, Catalina, people. Don't believe Germany on Christian Brueckner. Yes, I have to agree with you, and I have to say that as well. Do not believe. Do not believe. And I think I'm ready to end tonight's live. Look at the clock. It's already 12. Wow. Okay. Thanks, guys, so much for being here and for staying with me. And I guess I'll be seeing you in the next live. Take care, guys. Stay safe and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye, guys. Bye.